Show yourself first. Alright. Did you know that over half of the country lives paycheck to paycheck, and more than a third has nothing set aside for retirement? If you wanna avoid this fate, then you'll want to hear what I have to say. I believe all young Americans take personal finance courses to better themselves financially. No matter what profession you choose to pursue, you're going to need to know how to handle cash. And if you don't have the financial knowledge necessary, you're going to end up with crippling debt and unable to follow your dreams and goals. Personally, I work in the mortgage industry. I'm a home lending specialist with Citibank and in the New York area, and my job is to check people's credit and their personal finances and see if they're able to get a home loan. And a lot of what I see is pretty scary. So first, I just want to talk about the growing problem that is the lack of personal finance education in this country and how it's affecting our generation. Then I'm going to go over some ways that some solutions you guys can implement to fix this problem. And lastly, we'll talk about how those options can provide us with a better future. So to my first point, there is a lack of public education on personal finance and a growing number of young Americans who are not creating wealth for themselves. Now, the National Council on Economic Education, which is a nation leader in research and study on economic and financial education for students from kindergarten through high school, found in their last survey of the states that as of 2011, only 22 states required a basic economic course for their high school graduation. A mere 13 require a personal finance course, and only 14 are required to at least offer these courses. Now, this shows that the prevailing belief in this country is that personal finance is something that should be taught in the home by the parents. But as I mentioned earlier, over half the country doesn't have their finances in order themselves, so how are they going to teach their kids? All this leads to is an unending cycle of poverty. And uneducation doesn't end with high school. If you choose to pursue higher learning, most public universities don't require these courses either unless they specifically pertain to your degree. And college seniors are graduating now with more and more student loan debt. And according to a 2012 article entitled Grading Student Loans by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, there's nearly $1 trillion in student loan debt in the country right now. And as you can see, nearly 40% of all borrowers are under the age of 30. The average loan size right now is student loan size is now more than $24,000, and over a quarter of all borrowers owe more than $28,000. And the scariest statistic is that most people don't finish repaying their student loans until their 30s and beyond. So not only are these people being shoved into the workforce with little to no financial education, they're already saddled with high student debt, and now that they have to add on credit cards, housing payments, car payments, and more. And all this growing debt just burdens our national economy and slows it down, when we're already approaching $16 trillion in national debt right now. But now that we know the problem, we can talk about some ways to fix it. And there are solutions for this problem. And the first is just to educate yourself. Start by balancing your checkbook. Now, with the ease of online banking, most people our age have never seen a checkbook, let alone balance one. But here's an example right here. All you have to do is write your credits, which are your income on the left, and your debits, which are your expenses on the right, and keep a running balance week to week or month to month. Not only does it show you keep track of your money, but it shows you where your expenses are going to. And once you have a balanced checkbook, you can move on and create a budget. Now, here are some basic guidelines for creating a budget. You want to spend 25 to 30% on your housing expenses, and that includes utilities. Any more than that, and wherever you're living is too expensive for the income you're making. Secondly, you need to be saving/investing at least 5 to 10% of your income. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to be able you're not having your money make money for yourself, and you're not going to be able to retire when you want to. And the third thing that I want to show you guys is that you want to keep your monthly debt repayment below 15% of your monthly income. If your debt repayment is already high, you shouldn't take on more debt until you can get it below this number. Okay? Now, these are just general guidelines. Everyone's budget is going to be different, so tweak this so that it works for you guys. But these are just good bases to go off. Now, financial education is more than just learning how to handle your cash. You need to know about debt versus income, the time value of money, how to invest into retirement accounts, and much more. So what I would really recommend you guys to do is to take a personal finance course from your local community college or local economic center. So for those of you that are here in New York, you can call 311 and talk to the Financial Empowerment Center here in New York and find a place that's close for you. They offer cheap, easy classes for those that are working or those that are in school. There's actually one in Brooklyn off Fulton Street. And for my Longhorns that are here from Texas, UT offers free biblionomic classes to all current and former students, and they happen every semester. So those two easy ways. But these are good solutions for you. But for the youth of our country, what we really need to do is get personal finance courses taught early and often throughout their schooling. In their 2008 study entitled "The Effectiveness of Youth Financial Education," the Network Financial Institution at the Indiana State University found that those students that were taught and introduced personal finance early on and continuously throughout their K-12 schooling were less likely to go in debt and made more money than their peers who weren't subject to these courses. So what we can do to help this is call your local representative and express to them that you want personal finance courses taught early in school and all throughout school, and you want them required. Now, for those of you in Texas, you can visit mygov.nyc.org, type in your address, and find your information for your local representative. And those from Texas can go to house.save.tex.us/members. Now, don't worry if you don't remember these addresses specifically. You can pretty much just go into Google, type in "find my representative," and type in your state, and this same information will pop up. It takes an hour out of your time to call or write your representative and express your feelings on the subject towards them. Okay? But if only the people in this room do this, this movement's not going to get off the ground. So the last thing that I guys want you to do is encourage others to do the same thing. Encourage others to educate themselves. Encourage others to write their representatives and tell them that they want personal education or personal finance education required in public schooling. And when you guys eventually have kids, encourage them to take these courses as early and often as possible. Okay, so now that we know the solutions, let's look at how this can benefit us. Think about it on a personal level. You won't be worried month to month whether or not you can afford the bill or not. You'll be able to provide for your family. You'll be able to retire when you want to, take vacations when you want to, and send your kids to school. On a national level, we can reduce that $16 trillion debt. We can pull our lower class out of poverty, and we can lower the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And then once our nation is stable financially, we can expand these economic education initiatives globally, provide a better future for all of humanity. Now, in summary, I just want to go over my main points. I first talked about the growing problem that is the lack of finance education in this country and how it's affecting our generation. I've talked about some simple ways that we can fix it, and you guys specifically can move to fix it yourselves. And lastly, talked about how these solutions can provide us with a better future. Now, I hope that you guys, young Americans, should take personal finance courses, and I hope that I want you guys to go and take a personal finance course yourself. I just want to leave you with one last final thought, and it's a quote from Nelson Mandela. "Education is the most powerful weapon you have to change the world. So what are you waiting for? Get started."